So I welcome Mr. Ranjan De Silva for the next seminar on developing SME suppliers to facilitate participation in development of the agro supply chain.
As Ejaz mentioned, he requested me that I make a very short introduction of myself, which I will do. I come from Sri Lanka, and back in 1992, I was involved in setting up one of the first supermarket chains in Sri Lanka called Keel Super. And that was 20 years ago to date almost. And I was a director of one of the largest conglomerates in Sri Lanka called John Keel's. At that point, I was the director of the foods business, and then I had this new opportunity. Few years later, I retired from corporate life after being a director for that company for 7 years, because I wanted to follow my heart, follow my dream and passion to be able to help others unlock their potential. And I became a personal development consultant, catalyst, trainer, guide, coach, writer, and various things. Few years later, Rahim Afroz contacted me, and one of my other colleagues invited us to come to Bangladesh to set up a supermarket chain. We didn't have a place, we didn't have a name, we didn't have processors, we didn't have suppliers, we didn't have supply chains, and we didn't have customers. But that was an exciting journey back in 2001 when we set up the Agora in Dhanmondi, and 2 years later in Gulshan. So that made me come to Bangladesh once a month almost for 3 years. And that made me also meet so many other companies which I had consulted for, currently it's 35 plus. 3 years ago, I was invited back again by Rahim Afroz to come and help with the expansion. And I took it because I thought it was exciting after having trained people in 20 countries and coached senior leaders. I thought it might be a good opportunity to go back to school for a few years and test some of the things I teach. And it has been an exciting journey so far. So today I stand here wearing 2 hats, as you would see in the program, as the partner of Sensei International, as well as the CEO of Agora supermarket chain. Now, one of the things I believe, and believed from many years, is that things will happen if people are passionate. If you win the hearts and minds of people, then things start working. And there's so much passion hidden inside us, and we show that passion in various places. Maybe we're passionate when we go to the cricket match, we are passionate when we are at a party, we are passionate when we are amongst friends. And sometimes when you come into organization, you have passion killers, which extinguishes that passion, and then boredom starts off. And one of the things I did in my journey at Agora is try to bring that passion back and get people passionate about what they do. And one of the things I realized is Agora, or any company for that matter, especially in the retail, cannot grow unless you also have passionate partners like suppliers, customers, shareholders, and all these people. So we decided that we need to do something to make a big difference. One of the quotations I particularly like is that it's your attitude that determines your aptitude that will govern your altitude. Okay? So if you have the right attitude, you will learn, which is your aptitude, and only when you learn, you will start growing to the potential. So whilst we do a lot of things with regard to infrastructure, cold rooms, cold chains, vehicles, computers, IT systems, and loads of stuff, if we do not enlist the hearts and minds of the people working with you and supporting you, you will not move on. So let's see what Agora has done in that area from the supply chain point of view. Agora was established back in 2001, and when we started, as I mentioned, we did not have suppliers. It was single-handedly, especially because of the untiring efforts of Mr. Niyas Rahim, who is the managing director of Agora and a director of the Rahim Afroz Group, where we developed the suppliers. He would get vegetable suppliers, fish suppliers, and I still know some of them, like Mr. Delva, Mr. Basha. All of them were guided single-handedly. And Mr. Niaz Rahim took that responsibility to develop the suppliers because he could talk the language, he understood the psyche and the local culture, and we even had to show people how to open a bank account, how to write a check, how to keep books, how to check quality. Every little bit which had to be done in suppliers was done at the beginning. So we single-handedly started building these suppliers because without those suppliers, we won't be able to have an Agora supermarket chain at all. So that was at the beginning. And when I took over the reins of the company a few years ago, we came up with an aggressive plan to expand. And in order to expand, currently we have 680 employees, 320 suppliers, and our vision is to be the Walmart of the East. And that's, of course, a big dream, and dreams do come true if you really have the passion. 2012 was a year of investment where we acquired 5 outlets which belong to PQS and rebranded and relaunched them as Agora. We have just gone live on the 1st of June with a new ERP system, which is SAP, which is also being used by Walmart, the world's leading company, plus also Meena Bazar and Shopno, who had implemented it even before us. So that means there was a lot of faith in SAP. We also supported it with WinCore, which is the point of sale. And WinCore is also a German system, the best point of sale systems in the world. Now, we didn't stop there. We also opened a state-of-the-art distribution center in Tejga, which also happened about 2 weeks ago. And that distribution center, a 30,000 square foot facility, is able to supply 40 outlets. And that is fully computerized and run by SAP warehouse management system, where we can, within minutes, so far picking rates have been 100%. When a pick list comes from the SAP system, our guys are able to pick it up within a few minutes and get it across to the shops. Initially, there are some teething problems. There are some delays in certain products coming in. And as you know, it always happens in a new system. So the new ERP, DC, distribution center, and acquisitions were a start. But the more important one was building the capacity of our suppliers. We thought, yes, we can do the infrastructure, but if we don't have suppliers, we cannot grow in order to get to our target of 50 outlets in another 3 years' time. A few of them are already being lined up for opening. And in this journey, a few years ago, about 3 years ago, we had a movement called the farmer agreement called Shabu Shetu, which was signed with the Matia Manush Society in Irshodi, also supported by Mr. Chirag Shahid, who is a big advocate in farmer development. And this is the ceremony we had at Sheraton. So these events have helped us to get closer to the farmers and try to get produce from them and help them in their growth. Whilst having done these things, we decided that our fresh produce is the biggest area. In fact, our investment in Agora is to look after the fresh produce because that's what consumers wanted. Rather than going to the wet market, to the Kacha Bazaar to get the fresh produce, we invested in cold rooms and freezers and everything needed to preserve fresh produce. Our target was to have more than 30% of revenue, and in fact, right now, more than 50% of our revenue comes from the fresh produce because that helps. That's where consumers get the value. That's where consumers have the trust. Agora is ISO 9000, 2008 certified company, and the process ensures that we will test every batch to make sure that there is no formalin. Similarly, with regard to carbide. Now, of course, as you know, testing carbide is not an instant thing. It takes 7 days and 7,000 taka per test at the science lab, which we still send samples to do the testing. And the point we say is that we ensure that through our supply chain process, these are looked after. Now, in order, all these perishables come from small and medium scale suppliers, SME suppliers. Most of them are not very literate. But we are so dependent on them. And if you have to grow from the current 10 outlets to 40 outlets, we have to start growing them. Now, we made a decision that rather than adding new perishable suppliers, we'll develop the existing ones. And for that purpose, we went into a program supported by BIF. It's called an Inclusive Business Support Development Program. Inclusive business means as we do the development of SME suppliers, it also helps to develop the grassroots. It goes down to the farmers. It creates employment. It creates revenue. It improves the lifestyles of people. It gives some extra money to put some better food on the table, to give a better education to their kids. And that helped us to be motivated to go into this program, which was a 50-50 partnership between BIF, Business Innovation Facility, and Agora. And it cost quite a lot. I won't divulge numbers, but we became an equal partner and decided to develop these suppliers, although we knew that these suppliers will also deliver to other supermarkets. And I did not mind that, because if we are doing something socially responsible, we cannot be selfish. We can't say, okay, we'll do something only which will benefit Agora. We wanted to do something which will develop all the supermarkets in the country, as well as all the people who are directly benefiting from that. Now, we mapped by mapping our supply chain, and it became quite a complicated structure, as you see here. You will get a copy of the presentation. However, as you see right up there, if I can get it right, that's where the farms are. Now, don't get too worried about these skulls which are there. These were just put there to show these are places where there's potential malpractice, where chemicals can get introduced, where various other issues can happen. And you have a complexity from the farm. There are landowners, there's farmers associations, SMEs, there's middlemen, there's Kacha Bazaar, there's Kauran Bazaar, there's Agora, there's Science Lab, so many things. So we wanted to see how do we simplify this highly complicated supply chain, and this is for local vegetables and fruits. And we also have similar ones for meat. This is the meat supply chain on this side, and this is the fish supply chain. These are a little less complicated when compared to the vegetables and fruits which you saw earlier. And of course, it gets even more complicated when you see where this comes from. It's all over Bangladesh. You have, and we just plotted the various areas where we get produce flow into Dhaka and the other main cities. So having this analysis in mind, we decided that to look at the various challenges faced by the perishable supply chain. The first challenge is the supply chain complexity. The supply chain is very complex because there are multiple supply chains, as you saw earlier. There are many routes for the products to come to the destination. And on the routes also there are various challenges, as you know. There's no market transparency. There's no long-term contracting process which is available. Corruption is quite common, and impact on supply chain stability on shelf and availability is also a challenge. So this was one of the complexity on the supply chain itself. Then the next complexity is the price fluctuation. There's a demand-supply fluctuation which happens because of imbalance between supply and consumer demand. There are price peaks as well as troughs. There are economic issues like the maximum retail prices being fixed, there are fuel prices, varying lead times of foreign products. Of course, then the social issues come in terms of the various special locations where demand goes up, price goes up, like Ramadan, Eid. Environmental aspects has an impact on price, like seasonality, and the political aspects like the political unrest, hartals, and issues like that. So that becomes a second challenge. The third challenge is imbalance of power and market information. There's a power imbalance in terms of there's limited source of information regarding farmers and where the farming happens. And farmers are relatively poor, and sometimes they have to give their produce almost at a giveaway price. Sometimes it is 10% of the price we pay in the shelves to the farmers, and they are sometimes very helpless in this situation. They are sometimes very vulnerable to landowners. Landowners, give the land to the farmers and then squeeze every little bit possible, virtually leaving nothing for the farmers. Minimal basic education doesn't help as well, and marginalization based on distance from Dhaka. The further you go, the less price it becomes. So the marginalization keeps increasing. And then we have the malpractices, like as I talked earlier, the harmful chemicals being introduced at various places and lack of policy control to prevent such distribution of such harmful chemicals. And sometimes educational impact on use of these chemicals is not adequate, and insufficient quality control throughout the supply chain. And then there is the lack of infrastructure, like harvesting, transportation, storage, limited cold chain capacity. I'm not talking about cold storage, because cold storage is only one little bit. Cold chain is the entire chain from fork, farm to fork, or various people have various terms of saying it. But getting it through the supply chain is so important. And of course, the various electricity issues we talked about earlier, the transportation issues, awareness of best practice, and I think this kind of conference is so important from that point to get the best practices disseminated, and the vocational training being minimal. Now, in order to address this issue, Agora and BIF, can someone adjust the screen a little bit? It's been cut off at the bit. If you can adjust it, it will help. Anyway, Agora and BIF collaborated in developing our SME suppliers, and today's presentation is to show you what have we done, what is the process, and where are we now in this thing. In order to address the issue, Agora and BIF got the support of DFID as well as Accenture, which you would have heard as one of the world's leading, I think the leading management consultancy in the world, which has over 100,000 consultants all over the world. Accenture is one of the most expensive as well. They were here. In fact, we had three Accenture consultants with us for 3 months, working on with us, developing the model. So you can imagine how much it could have cost. And that's why I said it's quite an expensive project, but we still did it because it was so important for our journey. And this is a picture of the contract being signed, the signing ceremony with Mr. Niaz Rahim and Mr. Jack Newman. And so what was our plan? Why are we going to do this? What are the main commercial drivers of the project? Why did we do this project? Why did we spend 4 or 5 months developing? First is to ensure that demand increases, ensure that we give high quality and safe product, ensure that there's sustained supply. That was a very important thing, and also to make sure there's price consistency. So those were, we believe that by investing that money and time, that we will achieve these important drivers for our business. However, it wouldn't be meaningful if we did not look at the inclusive aspect of it. So there are 2 broad areas, but what you see on the left side is the support Agora's profitable growth and brand image. By doing this, we believe that it will increase our revenue and ability to open more stores, as well as enhance the quality and brand image of Agora Fresh, which is one of our brands we work on. On the other hand, the external, the social benefit is it will commercially benefit the poor, because this will help us to get better prices to the farmers, because we want to, this process is going through SMEs, small and medium enterprise suppliers. So that means, as someone said, we are not eliminating middlemen there, we are only making it efficient. We still have middlemen in the form of SMEs, and their families and their staff, they will benefit. And also to reduce unhealthy practices like the chemicals and stuff which goes in. So those are the commercial and the social benefits of the project. To further go down on the benefits from the Agora's profitability side, we thought it will increase product quality, increase availability, lower retail prices, and it will increase and meet the demand. It will increase demand and as well as meet the demand, and that is the commercial side. Then on the inclusive or the social side, ensure a fair price and salary, and a good return to the SMEs and farmers, provide and maintain long-term income and stability for the farming and SME groups, and increase their efficiency as well. So those were some of the success factors. And as we started the journey, there were more partners which got added to this. As we already said, Agora and Business Innovation Facility is there, Accenture is there. In addition, we got consultants from the Dutch NGO PUM who came in to develop the perishable expertise, like the technical side of how to preserve meat and aspects like that. Then DIF, it is there. And also we had 3 new partners. One is Agora's own. We have Agora Retail School, which has been just launched. Agora Retail School is a school which develops staff for the retail industry. So Agora Retail School, and 2 training companies by the name of Matrix and GMark were developed and trained to train and consult for the SME suppliers. So that is the overall concept of the project. There's an assessment, there's development, and it started with a sample and is moving on. We have a total of 45 SME suppliers, and these are basically suppliers of the fresh produce, and we are currently have completed the assessments for all of them. Now the next step is to start doing the classroom training. We'll do the Agora Retail School training together with Matrix and GMark. And after the training program, they will have some homework, which is to go back and apply what they have learned. And as they start applying what they learn, we go out into their premises and we do some consulting. Okay, for example, we would have guided someone how to get a bank loan to increase their production capacity. So you go and check to see whether, okay, are they able to fill the forms up? Have they got the bank loan? Have they done a proper plan to set up, enhance the production capacity? So we will do consulting. This is a 1-year process. Over 1-year period, from assessment to consulting, we have a roadmap to develop the suppliers. Now this shows the assessment methodology itself, where we started off by conducting the visits, identifying the suppliers to do the interviews. We conducted the assessments, visits were done, gaps were analyzed, and so therefore the process is fairly clear. I won't go through details. This shows that there is a scientific method we use to assess each of the SME suppliers. Now this might interest you. These are the capability areas that we are going to train them in. First is strategic management, and one would ask what strategic management for SMEs. And this is so important basically to show it's important to have a mission for the company. Have a slight long-term goal, may not be 25 years, maybe a 3-year, maybe a 5-year goal. How will your company look like? So we help them to do a small strategic plan in the strategic management process so that they also start visioning and start getting excited about the potential of improving the business that they run. And secondly, we have procurement and supply. So we have some courses, classroom training on that. Then we have the 3rd session on the premises, how to keep the premises clean, neat, hygiene, and various hygienic practices, proper drainage systems, proper fumigation systems, and all that. And the 4th course is in distribution and transport. How do you distribute the products in a proper way with the proper conditions? Then we have product quality training, which is the 5th one. And interaction with customers. So we also have a course on customer service and customer relations. The 7th one is finance. Again, as I said, how do we finance ourselves? Do we have proper accounting practices? Then we have something on leadership, how to lead and motivate the workers they have, and some courses on human resources, as well as information technology, how to computerize what they're doing. So as you see, the 10 courses we run in the SME development program covers all important areas. And there are various levels of readiness of them taking this up. Now this is an example of how it works. As you just saw, there is 10 capability areas which you saw in the earlier slide. And 10 capability areas, example is finance. One of them is finance, right? I'm going to explain how it works. Now the 10 capability areas has 41 competency areas, which means each one has an average of 4 competency areas. So under finance, one of the competency areas is accounting. And to check how well they do that, we have 172 questions we ask and we check when we go to their premises. So one of the questions under finance, accounting, is do you clearly separate between private and business money? One of the issues is SMEs have all the money in one pot. They don't know whether it's private money or business money. So one of the questions is, okay, do you have a clear way of accounting? Okay, this is my private money, this is the business money. If you separate it, then you know how much money or profits you're making. They know that they can invest money back into the business. So that's basically an example. And we score them on a scale of 1 to 5 or a ABCD rating, as you see here. So blue being very good and red being very bad. And within that, we would give them a rating. And these are some examples of the initial briefing session. We have some of the consultants here. We have some of the suppliers and some of the outside trainers. And we briefed the SMEs, okay, this is the process and how it goes. And these are some examples of some of our suppliers during supplier visits, where we check, because even up to the point of the visits, we had been doing work to improve the quality. So they do wear, as you see, the headgear and gloves and various things in making various products. For each of the areas, we have developed what is the good practice, which we want our SME suppliers to achieve. Now, of course, it is a journey of change. It's not easy. It's not a very short journey. So we have used a variety of methods to help people develop themselves in this journey. And some of the methods are to inspire and motivate. It's very important to inspire them and motivate them to show that they can become big businessmen, they can improve themselves, they can come to a world-class standard, and we show examples of people who have actually done it. Within our suppliers, there are so many of them who have done a high level. We show their examples to others, so that helps. We try to embed understanding through explanation, and we show how to do it. It's not giving lectures. We go into their premises, do practicals, and show the how-to aspect of it. Introduce high-level concepts as well, as you saw in the earlier slides. And we also deliver the benefits of doing this. It's not only investing money, it will give you better profits, better efficiency, better working conditions, and things like that. So for example, if someone is able to take some fruits, nicely clean it and pack it and brand it, maybe you will earn 25–30% more for the same fruit, which would be sold without it. So that kind of financial benefit is shown so that they are motivated to make the change. So the 10 courses I talked about is divided into 3 areas. First, you have the business basics, which has the strategy, leadership, and HR. Then you have the supply chain skills, which has product quality, procurement, premises, and distribution and transport. And then you have the business basics 2, which has the more advanced area, which is finance, IT, and consumer interactions. And we will evaluate on a scale of A, B, C, D, which is also denoted by colors, so that the colors give an indication on what happens. Now, our roadmap is this. Our vision is, right now, according to initial assessment, you will see current situation is, there's some greens as well as some reds as well. So there's a mix. Now, we have a roadmap that by end of 2015, we will have only A's and B's. Only the greens and yellows will be there in all our SME suppliers. So that is the target, and we will be tracking it on a year-by-year basis to make sure. So it is a journey. It will take us the next 3 years or 4 years, but this is a journey which has to be taken. So what are the results at the end? At the end, we are expecting the benefits for the SMEs by doing this. Improve SMEs' business skills and productivity. Their business skills will be better, they'll be more productive. They will create better understanding of the nature of business and how to will be more supportive, participative, and innovative, and that will help them to have better businesses. They'll be able to get access to finance to develop their business, to improve their capacity, and modernize their SME businesses. Work with more skilled and motivated labor. They'll be able to work with better labor, where right now even some places can use child labor, and as a principle we tell do not use. In fact, sometimes we go to the extent of stopping suppliers if we see child labor being used. So that is a very important aspect from a social responsible point, and from me from a personal point of view. Get better access to important market information. This will help us to also have better information. So that's from the SMEs. Then from the sustainable side, we'll have long-term sustainable relationship with our customers that they will have with the customers, and they'll be able to meet their time, quality, quantity criteria in terms of supply. And the supply chain itself will benefit low-income groups in the supply chain, such as farmers and their employees, and increase healthy practices. So this is basically the broad area what we want to achieve through this journey.
Just wanted to make sure, I have to have a very special thanks communicated on behalf of the entire ISCA team, because we talked about it. We must salute through Mr. Ranjan De Silva to the entire team of Agora, that they have just set an example that by sharing good information, there's absolutely no harm, you know. So this is a case that Agora has presented. My hats off initially to you, to Mr. Niaz Rahim as well. I spoke to him on the phone. Not sure he couldn't make it probably today. This is one other proof that if we share good information, we could actually benefit from each other. There's no point, you know, keeping it within and think that I'm the hero. And as they say today in management, there's absolutely no place to hide. Even if you want to, you can't hide it. So it's better to share and get to know from others. What else can we do together?